Okay, guys, we've been discussing this word Chesed, and we're on the character of Chesed, which means mercy, is God's character. And one of the aspects of Chesed that I'm seeing is that it's abundant, it's expansive, and that's what we're continuing on with this idea, how that the mercy of God, which He desires over sacrifice, is expansive. Now, what I want to share with you today is going to need a little bit of explanation, because we know the tabernacle in the wilderness, according to the scriptures there in Hebrews, it is it's the heavenly is it's a like a replica of the heavenly. It's a shadow of the heavens. Okay, and and also the apostle Paul points out that our body is like a tabernacle. So what we got to consider is that the tabernacle that was in the wilderness of Israel is a microcosm, or actually man is a microcosm of the tabernacle, if that makes sense. And the and it's also a microcosm of the universe, of the world. We have to understand that. So that means that man is a microcosm of God's creation, which, when you really begin to think about it, is amazing. It's awesome. It's a mini world. You are a mini world, but all of us together make up one huge world. And this is God's world, and it's God's creation, and He loves His creation. But yeah, the tabernacle, the man is a microcosm of the tabernacle that was in the wilderness, and not only that, but the tabernacle that was eventually built in Jerusalem, and also it's a microcosm of the universe of creation. And we're going to share that with you today a little bit, and try to do our best doing that. So anyway, yeah, let's get to it. Psalm 104, verse 2. And it says there, it says, He wraps Himself in light. And anybody that, if we read the scripture, know that light, even in the Psalms, Psalm 119, actually, it refers to as light. Your law is light. It says your law, which law refers to the 5 books of Moses. Um, it's always translated as law, but it's Torah, which refers to the 5 books of Moses. Anyway, he says He wraps Himself in light as with a garment, and He stretches out the heavens like a tent. Okay, we want to look at this word for tent because, well, I mean, it's pretty obvious if we look at it. Stretches out the heavens like it's like a curtain. Okay, now when we think of curtain, we need to kind of think of like a tent, like a tabernacle, if you will, like a curtain. And so next we'll go to over here in Genesis chapter 15. And if anyone, I was looking up and I kind of got curious to what they think or their estimate of how many stars are in the heavens. And, they estimate, they say 1,000 million. Well, I don't even know what 1,000 million looks like as far as a number. So a person could say like innumerable. But God takes Abraham out, and He asks him. He says, look up to the skies and count the stars, if indeed you can count them. And then He said to him, so shall your offspring be. And he goes on and said, Abraham believed the Lord, and it was credited to him, it was accounted to him for righteousness. So we see here that God takes Abraham out, and He says, look up to the heavens, and He says, this is before he had any children, and before he even changed his name to Abraham, it was Abram. And He says, look up, count, can you number the stars? And He said, so shall your seed be. So if anyone can number the stars, that's the seed. And now when we refer to seed referring as one, though it be many. So and later on in the book of Genesis, God comes again to Abram, and He tells him, He says, I will surely bless you, and I will multiply your descendants like the stars in the sky and the sand on the seashore. Your descendants will possess the gates of their enemies, and through your offspring, all nations of the earth will be blessed because you have obeyed my voice. Now, here we have a promise of God. And I'm one to believe God's promises, what he says will be. And he says here that because Abraham obeyed his voice when God had commanded him to sacrifice his son Isaac, and of course it was averted by the ram that was caught in the thicket, but because Abram obeyed his voice, he says that his offspring will be a blessing. His offspring will be many. That be like an innumerable offspring, and that it'll be a blessing unto the nations. To all the families of the earth will be blessed through the seed of Abraham. Now we're going to go over and we're going to look at the Hebrew, because we're talking about the word Chesed. Okay, Chesed, which refers to mercy, and this is kind of what we're talking about here. And God says that He desires mercy rather than sacrifice. So how we spell Chesed? I'm just going to point to the letters here. It begins with the letter Chet, which every letter in Hebrew has a numerical value. Okay. Every letter is a number. So the number for Het is 8. And then the next letter in the word Chesed is Samik, and its number is 60. And the last letter in the word Chesed is the Dalet, right here. And Dalet, its number is 4. Now, if we add these numbers together, Het, which is 8, Samik, which is 60, that's 68, plus 4, which is Dalet, that's 72. Okay? What's interesting about this whole idea is that Chesed times 2, mercy, God's mercy, and God is mercy, He is love, times 2, abundant Chesed, is 144, because it's 72 times 72 is 144. Now this might be interesting, or should catch people's eyes, or maybe get your brains a turning, because where do we see the number 144 in Scripture? We see it we see it in the Revelations, right? And let's go to it and look at it. And it says there in Revelations 21:17, and we're just looking at the interlinear here. And it says, and he measured the wall of it, and it was 144 cubits, the measure of a man. That is of the angel. So let's just go back here and let's look at the second parallel here. And so he says this city, and he's talking about the New Jerusalem. And this city lies 4 square, and its width the same as its length, and it's measured. And he measured the city with a rod, and all dimensions were equal, 12,000. Okay, so it was 12 squared. It was like 12 dozens, and he measured its wall to 144 cubits, and this cubit was the measure of a man. Now, if we take 12 and we divide it into 72, remember Chesed is the name, is God's mercy, and this is what He desires. So it's and it comes up to 72. If we take 12 and we divide it into 72, we get the number 6. And that's the measure of a man, because man was created on the 6th day. The tabernacle is a microcosm of a bigger picture of the tabernacle. And so we see that here in this Revelations about Chesed, abundant Chesed, being covering the earth, and not only the earth but filling the earth. So let's go in another place here in Revelations chapter 7, and it's also dealing with the 144,000, which I've seen a lot of discussion about these 144,000. There's 12,000 from each tribe, and these are the tribes of Israel, right? And so he said there's 144,000. They're sealed for every tribe, the sons of Israel. So 144, as we already discussed, 72 times 2, double Chesed or abundant Chesed, abundant mercy. Okay, it fills the earth, and now look what we have. After this I look, and behold, a great multitude that no one could number, from every nation, from all tribes and people and language, standing before the throne and before the Lamb, clothed with white robes and palm branches in their hands. And this is down here reading the 9th verse. So if we go back, and through your offspring all nations of the earth will be blessed, because you have obeyed me. So can we say the tent of Abraham? You know, I don't know. It's just very interesting, and it's caught my eye. Chesed, feeling the earth. Not only feeling it, but surrounding it. Double blessing. So we'll continue next time. So when we consider it, you know, so much of the time we get caught up with the idea that we're just glad we're saved. We're just thankful that one day, that when we die, we're going to go to heaven. And I'm not discounting that or discrediting that in any way, because we know that to be absent from this body is to be present with God. We know that most surely. But we see the gospel more than that. The gospel message is so much more, because it's not about us just one day going to heaven, but it's about heaven coming to us. And not only coming to us, but dwelling in us and around us. And so I tried to show this idea. It's about God's mercy surrounding us and being part of us. About heaven and earth, which is heaven, when you think of heaven, the spiritual, and the earth, which is the physical. It's these two merging and becoming one. That's what it's about. And it's the gospel message is so much more. Because if he overcome the world, know that you can too.